everybody, and welcome to another amazing video of DIY investing. You guys know that Chainlink has been one of my favorite long-term investments since all the way back in 2019 and 2020. I've been holding this since the last cycle, anticipating that once institutions were involved, we would see the value of this thing skyrocket like never before. If we're looking at what Donald Trump is actively accumulating, Chainlink is on the list, and he owns over $6.5 million worth of this. I firmly believe that with Chainlink having one of the best advantages in the DeFi space, we are going to see a lot of positive growth over this year. And I wanted to break down the first altcoin built on Chainlink that I've got a lot of confidence gives us big returns going into 2025. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you did find any value in this video, please do me a favor, hit that like, comment, and subscribe button. Without further ado, let's jump right into this amazing video today. Right off the bat, I wanted to start off by sharing with you guys some really bullish news. You know, there's a lot of factors going into this cycle that we've never seen before. This is the true institutional cycle. We've never had BlackRocks. We've never had any of these other big institutional banks and corporations involved like we do now. However, on top of that, we have Donald Trump now sitting in office, currently in presidency for his first true day. Now he's going to be streamlining a lot of positive growth for crypto, already being very optimistic of it. And who knows, guys, maybe he's only going to do a little bit, but my guess is he's going to really do a lot for crypto, considering World Liberty Finance is his DeFi project he launched. For you guys that weren't familiar with this, he's already raised a significant amount of money in DeFi. He's going to be streamlining a lot of positive growth over in this space, so I don't really have any doubts about what he's going to do in crypto. Is he going to abolish all crypto taxes? Who knows? Probably not. But regardless of that, if he even just lowered them, I'd be thankful too. When we're talking about his crypto holdings, there's going to be a lot of these things that I'm sure people just sent, like all these memes and crap. I'm sure that Wells just sent them, and that's kind of why they're showing up in this wallet. But when we're looking at his holding, he's got almost $200 million worth of ETH, 54 mil worth of USDC, WBTC at 47 mil. He bought all of that when he became the 47th president. Staked Ethereum 15 mil, USDT 9, Aave 6.96, and then his Link is worth $6.62 million. So he actually holds 256,000 Link. Having him own so much Link, in my opinion, is him really telling the market that, hey, this is one of the most obvious DeFi projects in the market. Considering Link, Aave, WBTC, and ETH, you really can't go any further than that. Those are kind of the hierarchy when it comes to all of DeFi. So having him invest in a Link, I think it's very bullish for the long-term price of Chainlink. And that's why I wanted to come in here and really map out what we're seeing today. Looking at Chainlink, I've been investing into Chainlink since all the way back here in 2020. Man, it was actually in 2019 now that I look at the chart. All the way back in 2019 and 2020. I bought the majority of it throughout this period right here, and that's where I also took my leverage positions, and then it was shortly after that that we saw the entire market climb substantially. The thing about Chainlink, and something I talked about in yesterday's video, was how a lot of altcoins got their majority hype when Bitcoin peaked at 65K. Chainlink was one of those altcoins. When Bitcoin rallied and made a new all-time high at 69,000, Chainlink made a lower high here at about $37. The peak was about $53, give or take a few cents, and now we're currently sitting at 26. The thing about Chainlink though today is the fact that we've now not only made a new high, broken back above the bear market. I mean, you could also be counting the downtrending resistance that we broke from as well, but we've talked about that for a long time now. We've been mapping out Chainlink for a significant period of time, but we've also broken this short-term resistance. We've also flipped this high as new support here, and it's getting ready to what looks to be a breakout of a bull flag before it runs all the way back up to these prior all-time highs. I do firmly believe that that's where Chainlink is heading. We're about to see a lot of markup in price, and if we're looking at Chainlink doing this, we have a lot of confidence that all of DeFi is about to run really hard, because all of these cryptos are bonded together, right? If Chainlink is the backbone of DeFi, and so many assets are directly correlated with Chainlink being backed to its liquidity reserves and all of these different things throughout DeFi, then at that point, if the price of Chainlink starts rising, then all of the other cryptos that are bonded to it in liquidity are also going to start rising, because the value of the liquidity pool also goes up. So that's the beauty of crypto. A rising tide lifts all ships, and it doesn't matter which chain it's on, they're all going to do that. So that's why I think that Chainlink is getting ready for something massive, and anybody that's got exposure into the DeFi space is sure to see a lot more capital rising and kind of flowing back into their cryptos that they hold. Looking at this, one of my favorite things to look at is the Wall Street cheat sheet, right? And I'm going to actually delete this and remove the drawing tools. But when we're looking at the Wall Street cheat sheet, the reason it's so important to be paying attention to it is because as the market cycle progresses, as it matures into whatever it's going to do, all of these are going to be creating mini variants of this exact pattern. And the whole reason why I think that we're still so early in all of this is because where we're still at in the market cycle. Remember, in yesterday's video, I talked about how the disbelief phase is the most important part of this chart. Happens twice. Happens at the beginning before a parabolic rally, and it happens at the ending after a bear market crash before the new cycle starts. We can see Chainlink, and I'd have to go all the way back over into this period, but this is technically the disbelief phase. And keep in mind, look how dwarfed that prior last cycle was in comparison to where we're at today. So in that first cycle, we went through that disbelief phase, and then that was what led us into this big market cycle. Hope would have been this period here. Optimism, belief, thrill, that was probably here. And you kind of go through variants of this, like we went through this high and correction all the way into this cycle top. So all of these emotions took place at the same point. We just had corrections along the way. Eventually you came to the cycle top, lower high, that was complacency here when Bitcoin peaked at 69,000, and the cycle repeats. You go through the negative emotions here, bear market bottom here, and all of that stuff, right? So when we're looking at Chainlink, it went through this exact same pattern. Nothing was changing. It's all the same exact fractal, right? So now we've already broken out of the disbelief phase. That's what this move was right here. Chainlink made its first high. Everybody was kind of fading it. Nobody was expecting it to do anything else. It retested the range lows as new support, and then we started breaking out even higher. So in my opinion, we're now entering the hope phase right over in this period where it's going to start running to those prior all-time highs, like what it did here. Went into price discovery, consolidated on top of those as new support before the real big parabolic rally took place. I expect Chainlink to do something similar. It doesn't have to range sideways here for as long as it did back in this period, but we always have periods of reconsolidation, right? It's what happened here, it's what happened here. Eventually we had our cycle top, but it always takes place in every bull market, so it's not like we should expect to see too much changing. Now looking at this over in here, I expect that this is going to be the run where we run all the way up to these prior all-time highs, and that's going to be taking us into hope, right? That's where we'll probably consolidate here for a little while. And then when we make that next big run into price discovery, that's where you're talking all of the extreme outperformance. Having Trump actively accumulating Chainlink, Aave, all of these big cryptos, it really does point to him having confidence in these specific assets in the same ways that we have. You know, I've been talking about Chainlink and Aave for a long time, and now that it's looking like we're finally exiting out of the, disbelief phase and entering more where we're going to see a little bit more attention, media attention, maybe an ETF, things of those natures, all of that's going to ultimately create this same type of a new cycle. Now, if I zoom out and I actually take the last cycle and I just kind of overlay it over here, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised to see something very similar to more or less this, right? Where we could just be in this first little breakout before we go into price discovery. Maybe this correction doesn't quite come down as much, but regardless, coming back down and retesting these prior levels, these prior resistance levels from our prior cycle, it's expected we will come back down and tag those. It doesn't have to come back down nearly as much, but regardless, seeing something like this play out until we're eventually at a cycle top sometime at the end of 2025, that makes the most sense to me. Somewhere between $200 to $500, depending on just how much price discovery comes into this thing could get very blown out of proportion. And in the same ways that it did in the last cycle. This is the cycle where we're going to see more money flowing around than ever before. I think that that's just a given. We've already seen that happen with the Trump coin going into $75 billion in total market cap within just 24 hours. It was insane. It was a black hole sucking everything else into it. So if there's an ETF that gets approved, if there's anything major that happens, a big, law that comes through that's bullish for Chainlink, who knows exactly what, but any type of thing can stimulate the price, and it doesn't take much to see the price really start to blow up like this. So when I'm looking at Chainlink on the long-term basis, I really do think that this is what's in store for us. Coming over here and taking a look at the Bitcoin pair, this is another very bullish setup. And when we're looking at this, it's maintained our bullish divergence that I was talking about, having it not only on the MACD, but the RSI as well for a significant period of time. The MACD's been doing it since all the way back over in this period here when we first started our lower high. So the MACD's been a little bit false, but showing that the momentum has been swinging higher and higher and we're just hugging closer to this middle range, that's what you want to see for the MACD. We can see things stay overbought or oversold for a long time. However, it's once it starts hugging closer with divergence that you're seeing it at this mid-range that usually it starts reversing. Having the confirmation in the RSI as well on a weekly time frame, we saw a lower low in the price. Multiple lower lows, lower low, lower low, lower low, and we were maintaining higher highs throughout that period. So as we're getting into this cycle, where we've made this higher high, Chainlink's just started to break out, it's already been uptrending against the dollar. I think we're about to make that next big breakout where we'll probably rally back up to the top of this B wave. We'll come back down and retest these resistance levels, and then it'll eventually just go into a brand new all-time high like that. This is a very classic market cycle on the Bitcoin pair, looks very bullish, and I do anticipate with this amount of divergence, it's only a matter of time before this thing officially reverses. Now coming over here, guys, I wanted to finish up and go over the rest of this video talking about my favorite altcoin actually built on Chainlink. And this is kind of one of the things that I think is so bullish about this cycle. In the prior cycles, Chainlink was just middleware, right? In the last cycle, all Chainlink really did was go through and allow us to have live price feeds. And then it did start to advance further from that point. And now it's an entire ecosystem, a layer one. It competes with the likes of Ethereum. It's got the cross-chain space in its back pocket. So that to me is where we're going to see so much value coming into the market. Anybody that can tap into multiple different liquidity sources, that's where you're going to be able to see the most amount of upside in your overall project, as well as just growth as a whole. Because here's the thing, guys, there's so many different layer ones and layer twos. Some of them are EVM, some of them are Cosmos. So depending on, and there's a number of other variants out there as well. I just named two specific ones. But depending on what they are, they can't really send value between each other. And you might have to use a layer two to do certain things because the layer one itself doesn't work very well like Ethereum. So then you have an entire new ecosystem of layer twos. And with all of that, it becomes kind of a hassle to send value between these different chains. With Chainlink being a cross-chain player, the goal is to be able to tap into all liquidity sources at the same time and share and send value between them very consistently all at the same time, right? That's the overall idea with cross-chain compatibility. And so when I'm talking about Chainlink being its own layer one this cycle, we now have cryptos launched on it. And this was the very first project that was actually, launched by Chainlink, funded by Chainlink, marketed by Chainlink. Chainlink's official Twitter has posted about them multiple times. So it's not like I'm just making things up. This is actually a Chainlink project. We can see the first cross-chain swaps protocol powered by Chainlink CCIP. So their CCIP program is basically where they take funding from all of the money they have worth of Link tokens and they invest it into building the cross-chain space. And this was the first project that they actually pioneered. Looking at it at $17 million in total market cap, Chainlink's at like $19+ billion in total market cap. So it's very, very much undervalued. I think that there's a likelihood, chance that there's a lot more market share to come back into these type of projects built on it. And with XSwap, it has 82K in 24-hour volume, 380K liquidity. So it's not like it's got insane volume or anything, but 82K in volume is pretty solid. And I think that the big reason why it doesn't have more is because most people just don't simply realize that Chainlink has its own ecosystem. Looking at the chart, it looks very bullish. Keep in mind that we've been through this entire correction, and this cycle has just been holding up, right? This thing's just been maintaining this parabolic curve, I should say. And I do firmly believe that with this holding support, we're seeing this thing reversing alongside with Chainlink's price, right? As Chainlink is making this breakout, the ecosystem as well is starting to break out. So this thing, in my opinion, is going to reverse, and it's going to be starting that next high. The thing is if Chainlink is going to be running into a prior all-time highs, going all the way back up to $50+, maybe even into price discovery, I got a lot of confidence that XSwap itself is going to make a very big run as well. This thing has only had its little listing cycle, right? Got listed, it had that little listing pump like all of these different markets end up doing. Then you have that correction, maintained higher highs, and now with it just starting this new trend, it's got great volume in here. All of the volume is what you want to see, and now with Chainlink breaking out, that's really the big catalyst in all of this. XSwap is a cross-chain swap, so what that means is it doesn't matter which chain you're on, you're going to be able to use all of them at the same time through XSwap and be able to swap across multiple different chains, multiple different tokens, whatever it is. And that's the value, guys. I've used a lot of cross-chain swaps. A lot of them suck. Some of them are really solid. And the value with these cross-chain swaps is just the fact that I don't have to use multiple different wallets at the same time. I don't have to, ultimately find a new bridge. If I have to go to a new chain, I don't know the ecosystem very well, then I can just use these cross-chain swaps and dexes that have already basically created that framework for me. And I think the XSwap is just a prime candidate. At only $17 million in total market cap, that is really not that much money. If we're talking about an ETF coming for Chainlink, and this is the first project that they've ever launched, and it's their cross-chain DEX, I mean, you know, I think it's just a kind of an obvious buy scenario. So this is one of my good holdings. I'm really confident in all of this. Wanted to give you guys this video, map out Chainlink, why I'm bullish on it, what Trump is actively buying in his portfolio for his DeFi protocol. I think that this thing is going to be really exciting. You know, we've got a lot of profit to go around this time around, more than the last cycle by a mile, in my opinion. We're going to see these type of parabolic cycles once more. And if I'm talking about Chainlink rallying all the way to $200 to $500, I really do think that the entire ecosystem of Chainlink is going to be what propels the price of this to go so high. Yes, there's going to be bullish news. Yes, the Trump team is actually buying this. Those are really bullish things. But if we're talking about a true Chainlink ETF, where BlackRock is actively accumulating it, all of these major institutions, people are big cryptos and not big companies are adding it to their balance sheet, things like that. We're going to be looking at all of this stuff really taking off in a big way, and I think that it's the ecosystem itself where, you know, XSwap starts getting a lot of adoption. People are really using it. The volumes are going crazy. That in and of itself is really going to drive the value of Link token higher as well. So there's a lot of variables going into this cycle we've never had. I'm confident that we're about to make more money than ever before, and if you guys do want to see anything I'm actively investing in over this cycle, you can always join my private group. Links are in the description to sign up on my website where you can actually get full access. It's just a lifetime membership. So if you guys want to be able to follow anything I'm actively trading, investing in, even when I take profits on my crypto and rotate into other markets, I'm going to post all of it inside of that group. So I'd love to have you guys a part of it. Links are in the description. But with that being said, guys, I love you. Can't wait to see how much money you make this cycle, because all of the things are pretty much playing out perfectly for all of us to realize a financial fortune if you're prepared. So with that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next one. As always, peace out.